Hey everybody. I know it's been a very long time since I did a video in my house. I usually been doing my videos in my car, which I lovingly call my Kia Soul Confessions. But today I want to talk to you all about something that is really personal, really raw, and really emotional for me. There's a lot of people who actually know me personally know that my dad and I, when I was younger, did not have a good relationship. It was a lot of issues between him and my mom, domestic violence stuff, and messy divorce, all those things. And for years, decades, my father and I didn't talk. We didn't have a relationship. And when we did, it was just really toxic and arguing and things of that nature. And so, about 8 years ago, my dad and I started to work on our relationship. We were just very open and honest with each other and talked and really just worked on everything. And I was just very open and honest with my dad, and he was receptive, and we just both talked. I learned a lot about him. He learned a lot about me, and so our relationship just continued to blossom. So about 2 weeks ago, Sullivan and I traveled to Mississippi, and we were able to see my dad. We stayed with him for 6 days. Him and his wife, or my stepmom Tammy, or Sullivan lovingly calls her Nana, and we stayed there for 6 days, and it was the most transforming 6 days of my life. My dad and I, when I was younger, we used to have some awesome times together, and a part of me longed for that and wanted that for my daughter as well. Just because of our history, it's always a little hesitation when you're meeting with someone or staying with someone for that period of time. But we talk all the time. I call him, he calls me. We have a very close relationship, I would say. And I love my dad, regardless of what has happened in the past. I love my dad. I'm not going to hold him hostage to the past because no one's benefiting from that. I'm not, he's not, my daughter's not, and she adores my dad. So if your dad is anything like mine, my dad will be 70 in December, and he throws nothing away. Besides going to go see my family, I saw my grandma, my Aunt Diane, my Aunt Merck, my Aunt Sis, who my Aunt Sis had me in tears just laughing as my daughter slept in my lap. That was something I hadn't done in years, was talking to all those folks, my cousins and things like that, invading my cousin Kim's house, stuff like that. But other than those things, just spending time with my dad, my daughter running through the house, my dad looking at her so lovingly and saying, but she's on vacation. Her in the yard, walking around, talking to the trees and things of that nature. But like I was saying, if your dad's anything like mine, my dad doesn't throw anything away. Nothing goes in the trash. So my dad has a lot of antique stuff, including a fish tank that I had as a kid, which he let me have and told me that I could take it back home, so I mailed it to myself. But I think the one thing that was so important and so beautiful to me is actually this painting to my left. To somebody it may seem like nothing at all. It's a painting my mom did for my dad. And if you see the frame, it's made from wood. My dad actually made this frame. And so this painting and this frame is basically a project between both of my parents. And I was admiring it, and my dad was like, your mom did that. And he gave it to me. He said, and I made the frame. And it means so much to me because it was such a closure that I needed at that time, because I get very emotional just thinking about it and talking about it. Because my mom died 18 years ago, and I've never been able to have a full circle relationship because my mom is not here. my dad lives in Mississippi, and so my daughter doesn't have both of those grandparents. But my dad's wife, Tammy, does a great job with Lebanon Sullivan, which I was very blessed and lucky. And she even let me and Sullivan kidnap her a couple of times and take her different places with us. But this picture is the one thing from my trip that made me think the most, that made me cry, that made me really realize that forgiveness is a growth, a process, it made me look at it differently. Now I look at forgiveness as planting a seed in the ground. You don't plant the seed because, and just leave it there for nothing. When you plant the seed of forgiveness, it doesn't mean that everything goes away or it changes everything, because your brain has a way of bringing back old memories and ill feelings at times. And to me, that represents the weather, the seasons changing, and all the things that seed has to endure to become whatever it's going to become. And my dad and I, we plant that seed of forgiveness and love and hope, and we produced a tree of love and hope and present and future and redemption and things of that nature. And for me, that was so huge because, when I was a kid, I was extremely close with my dad. I used to go hunting with him and just all kind of stuff. And so for me to be 39 and to now experience that with my father, with my own 3-year-old, and she's looking at him with the same eyes that I would look at him, and they just played and they talk, and looking at who my dad was when I was 15 and seeing who he is now, it's a completely different person. And my thing is, forgiveness is not an easy thing. It's growth. Like anytime when you're growing through anything, forgiveness can be painful. It can be overwhelming. It can be all those things, but you're not doing forgiveness for perfection. You're doing forgiveness for love and hope, and to create a present or a better future. I don't know how much longer my dad is going to be alive. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be alive. But I do know that those 6 days of my life were so meaningful. And I'm looking forward to seeing my daddy again. I'm going to call him tomorrow and just, chew the fat with him, talk to him, see how he's doing. I mean, we text each other all the time and we send each other pictures and stuff. But, those 6 days meant so much to my spirit. It meant so much to my heart. It meant so much to everything that I do as a person. I've never had any hate towards my dad, because my mom was like, that's just not what you do. But for a long time, I just longed to have my father. And at this point in my life, I feel like, wow, I have my father, and it's so wonderful because my daughter has him as well. She gets to look at him, and he gets to tell her stories and make her laugh and play games with her. But that's the thing. Forgiveness is not easy, but it's worth it, because everything is not a Disney story. Everything is not going to turn out like in the movies, but it depends on what you put into that. When someone extends the olive branch of love to you, and you all together plant the seed of forgiveness, and you work on that relationship to make it into something, that means that even when those feelings come up, you have to remind yourself that that was the past, and right now we're making memories for our future. And so, yeah, that's just that's what I want to share. Like this picture, I don't even know where to put it in my house. I've been like, a part of me just wants to keep it and hide it for myself. But it's just a testament of love that my dad would give me something that meant a lot to him, that was basically produced by him and my mom. And it lets me know that, you know, even though she's gone, beautiful things are still being made by her. And that even when my dad is gone, I'll still have this picture that is composed of him and my mom, you know, a work they did together, just like me and my siblings are a work they did together, regardless of how bad it was with them. You know, 4 beautiful kids were made from that union. And that's nothing to take away from my dad's wife, Tammy. She's awesome. She's really sweet. I've never had an issue with her. I don't hold anything against her. She's never done anything to me. And she's just a really sweet lady who, you know, I talk to and who adores my daughter, and my daughter adores her. So, so that's it for today. I just want to say we have to learn to forgive, because forgiveness is not easy, but it's needed. It's almost mandatory to survive. And thank you for watching, and thank you for listening. Have a good life.